It is common practice for a contracting party to hold a retention amount in the form of cash withheld from a payment, bank guarantee or other security to secure performance of the contract or cover costs of fixing defects. There are certain requirements and legislative protections in place for retentions and other securities. There are limits on retention amounts and securities. Before practical completion, the retention amount withheld may not be more than 5% of the contract value. The amount withheld from each progress payment must not be more than 10% of the total amount payable. After practical completion, the total amount of retentions held may not be more than 2.5% of the contract value. The defects liability period, or DLP, is the period following practical completion of the work and during which any omission or defect in the building work may be required or directed to be rectified under the contract. The contract may specify the defects liability period. If it does not, the default defects liability period is 12 months, starting on the day of practical completion of the contract. A notice of end of defects liability period must be given to the contracted party within 10 business days before the end of the defects liability period. Fines may apply for failing to give this notice. After the end of the defects liability period, the retention amount must be released to the contracted party unless the contracting party has a reasonable excuse. It is a serious offence to not release a retention amount. At the end of the defects liability period, the claimants must ensure they give a final payment claim to ensure they are paid any retention amounts owed. There are strict timeframes for claiming retentions. The timeframe worked out under the contract, or 28 calendar days after the end of the last defects liability period, or 6 months after the completion of all construction work under the contract. If you are not paid the retention amount owed, or if you disagree with a retention amount withheld, you may be able to access dispute resolution options. See the QBCC website for more information.